All right. Hey, good morning, folks. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Today is Saturday, July 6, 2024. We are still tracking what is now Tropical Storm Beryl in the Gulf of Mexico, but still expected to bring hurricane impacts to parts of Texas going into early next week. We are looking for a landfall sometime early on Monday along the Texas coastline. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, forecasts have considerably shifted further north and east. And now it is almost certain that a landfall somewhere near Corpus Christi to near Galveston is likely, as Beryl is looking to re-strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico over the next day or two and make landfall again early on Monday. Latest from the National Hurricane Center this morning. 7 a.m. intermediate advisory. Maximum sustained winds are 60 miles per hour, and the movements to the west-northwest 12 miles an hour. Now, that 60 mile per hour tag is possibly even a little generous. Beryl is looking kind of rough this morning, but over the last 2 or 3 hours, we have seen that renewed convection begin to occur. So we are seeing the first signs that Beryl is trying to start re-intensifying after taking that time after Mexico to kind of gather itself and reorganize a little bit. There's still a ways to go on that. But the bottom line is we still expect this system to remain a tropical storm about the next 24 hours or so, maybe even a little bit longer. But then a period of more rapid intensification may occur near the coastline as Beryl finishes reorganizing and it hits some pretty warm water and she gets a little bit of help from that trough off to her north. There's a lot of things that should come together towards the coastline. And Beryl is still expected to be a dangerous hurricane at landfall, possibly category 2 or so intensity, give or take a category here or there. But this is the list of the hurricane watches in effect today. We have the Texas coast, the mouth of the Rio Grande northward to San Luis Pass, which is basically the tip of Galveston Island on the south end. And then parts of the northeast coast of Mexico also have some of those watches still in effect. But again, it looks like at this point that Mexico is becoming less and less likely as a destination for Beryl, that it's going to turn a little bit further north. Let's go ahead and look at the satellite presentation. Water vapor will start off in the bigger zoomed out picture. We can see our main players here at Beryl starting to get together down here in the southern Gulf of Mexico. The upper low that was shearing this system is being cut off by the trough now, and it's weakening as it kind of backs away from Beryl, and that wind shear should become less and less over the next 24 hours. And as this trough moves closer to Beryl, it's going to start pulling mass away from the hurricane. And this, unlike wind shear directly over the storm, which will actually harm it, this should help ventilate the storm aloft and let it breathe a little bit better, expand those outflow channels to the north. And Beryl should have a bit more of a favorable environment as it goes through. Now, look at aircraft reconnaissance. The pressure is beginning to fall. Went from 999 to 997 in the last Hurricane Hunter pass. So if this trend continues, then we will have a strengthening storm on our hands. But visible satellite imagery still reveals that there's a little bit ways to go here. So look at the sunrise here over on Tropical Tidbits. Visible satellite, big burst of convection to the north, but the center is actually still not very well stacked. The low-level center is something like this, and the mid-level center is probably something like this. So your low level's here, your mid-level is here, and what's going to happen is through the day, this low-level center is going to kind of pinwheel and kind of orbit around the mid-level, and it kind of will have these motions where it'll be in and out, and then it eventually will fully restack under that mid-level center, and that's when more renewed convection can sustain. So we can see here, this was earlier this morning, Beryl at low level center almost completely exposed right here. But then if I were to start moving the satellite again, you can see more convection bursts up under there and then starting to sustain itself with those little pinks indicating some vertical hot towers. So Beryl is getting itself together here this morning. It's just taking some time to do so. HWRF shows this really well if you want another illustration of it. 700 to 300 millibar chart basically showing the low and mid-level centers with moisture. So the two things we notice is one, lot of dry air to the south of Beryl. That's not surprising in the Gulf of Mexico this time of year. Low-level center right here, mid-level center stacked to the north. So this is going to have to pivot up under that mid-level center, and that's going to take a while longer. HWRF, HMON, HFAS all kind of indicate, see that kind of wobbling motion where the low and mid-level center kind of pinwheel around each other, but they kind of get a little closer each time. What we go into tonight, it's still kind of doing that, not really intensifying much, but then about tomorrow midday, we can see that low and mid-level center much closer to each other. And then from there, as we go into Sunday afternoon, then the pressure starts falling very fast. Now, at this point, Beryl's close to land, but if the Beryl was to maybe come further north and have more time over water, you can see that quick intensification begins more in earnest on Sunday. So even if the storm stays a tropical storm for another day or so, don't be lulled in that false sense of security of, oh, well, this isn't going to be anything. It very well still could take off right before landfall. And I caution that a storm strengthening up until landfall is a different beast than a storm weakening as it makes landfall. There's a whole different category of, what kind of surge it can produce and how far inland the effects reach. So don't count this one out by any means. Beryl is going to be a nasty hurricane when it makes landfall. Quick, impacts here. We'll talk more about these tomorrow, but first forecast from NHC showing generally 3 to 5 foot of storm surge. And I would likely think that somewhere that's going to be narrowed in on a little bit more as we get into the afternoon. Tomorrow, we'll probably see these forecasts come up a little more, 6 to 8 feet, 6 to 9 feet, probably more in that range. Tropical storm, type rains are going to be on tap here. A lot of heavy rainfall, 8 to 12 inches. Beryl's not going to be moving all that fast, so you're going to have some potential for some pretty heavy rainfall. It will be moving. It's not going to fully stall, but there is going to be some potential for really heavy rain, 8 to 12 inches, and I bet someone would get more than that, probably in that 12 to 16 in spots, and you can see that this is even near Houston. So wherever the storm makes landfall, remember the right side of that storm is going to get more of the rainfall than the left side is going to. And finally, from the Storm Prediction Center, they are looking for some tornadoes on Monday as the storm makes landfall. We could have some tornadoes possible from central and western Louisiana all the way back into parts of eastern Texas. And again, well away from where the hurricane makes landfall. And the landfall point would be here. That tornado potential is well off to the east of that landfall point. So, again, not a point on the map. Hurricanes have wide-reaching effects. Beryl will be no different. So that's what I got for you guys this morning. We're going to carefully watch Beryl's progress today, but it looks like it's starting to intensify a little bit. We'll see how long it can sustain that, and then we'll be tracking all the way up until landfall. So that's what I got for you guys today. As always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.